Hello, my name is Jason and welcome back to I Have a Story. Today's My Life Monday, and before I get started with today, I would like to ask people to please like, subscribe, and share. Try to help me get my voice heard and get my stories out there, and I have a lot of amazing information coming, and that's part of where this new change in the format to my channel came in, is get these stories out there, get this knowledge out there, and I have some really amazing stuff to share. If I haven't already shown some of my knowledge and care, concern, and abilities, stay tuned because you're going to see a lot more. I went back through the first video I made and realized, and I do this a lot, especially when I'm talking about emotional things, and especially when I'm talking about things that I've buried and don't want to dig back up. And in my last video I saw that I started talking about my dad's dad, and I gave a little bit of history with our childhood. I'm gonna give a little more today and talk a little bit more about me, and I'm gonna start talking individually and make a video about each person in my family and how the whole interaction with our family took place, and the way things that the negative impacts it had on us. Part of why I'm here able to talk about these things, because I didn't do like a lot of people and just get buried and ruin my life over it. I tried to dissect it and learn it and pay attention to it. It's part of what gave me the knowledge to stand here today. So the story I started talking about in my last video was my dad's dad. My dad's dad was in the hospital in intensive care, and I talk so much about medical field, and we're talking, this was back, God, early 90s? No, 80s, late 80s, the late 1980s. My grandfather was in the hospital, and all the way back then, even then, we still should have known better in this then, and we did, but they still allowed it to happen. My grandpa laying in a hospital bed asked for a cigarette, and the nurse gave him a cigarette, and then she went and actually fell asleep in the waiting room. My grandpa took a couple puffs off the cigarette, and he coded and died. You can see why I have such an emotional attachment to our medical industry and what I've seen, because I've seen so much bad. But as kids, the way my parents treated us, my grandpa passed away at night. We were getting ready for school the next morning and getting, literally 5 minutes away from walking out the door to go to school when my parents told us my grandpa passed away. We started crying, and it was get out the door and go to school. My parents had absolutely no consideration for anybody else as far as feelings, emotions, or anything goes. Again, part of why I saw that, felt that, and pushed so hard in myself not to be like them so that I can look at other people. It's part of what's pushed me to drive to be that kind of person. It's either that or I get buried in the darkness of it all and become dark. I don't find middle ground. I never have in much of anything in my life. I'm an extremist. I'm either love you or I hate you. I'm either all in or I don't want nothing to do with it. That's kind of how I roll. Well, time is short, life is short. Spend it doing the things you find that are imperative. So my parents told us that my grandpa passed away as we're walking out the door going to school. And again, we're young, in elementary school. Well, that day at school sucked. I couldn't focus on school, couldn't think about nothing, was crying. My parents were also ones that I remember, you need to get your chores done today. I'm running a fever, sick, and throwing up. Oh, you want to cry about it? Now you're getting double the chores. And that's what they did. Pro of that has made me the tough person I am today. The negative is there's negative side effects to being a bad person. Always. I've tried so hard to hold on to how do I find positive out of it? I remember being sick and throwing up, and my chore was I had to sweep the floors, run a vacuum cleaner. I just threw up. I'm not feeling good. Oh, you're going to cry about it? Well, now you're moving all the couches, all the furniture, and you're going to do all that too and sweep behind everything. That was one of the instances of my childhood. As a kid, I did not have self-esteem. I couldn't find attachment with people. It's honestly part of the poor decisions I've made in my relationship choices, because I personally did not feel good enough to be with somebody who didn't have a problematic life. How could somebody understand my BS life if theirs is perfect? So I could not be with perfect people, or what I considered perfect people, because I didn't feel good enough to be associated with that. Obviously, it's part of where I got associated with drugs and drug addicts, because their life screwed up. I feel connection with that. I feel comfort with that. That's wrong. It's bad. It's caused me a lot of my problems in my life. And then being involved with all these bad stuff and not trying to be the bad person and doing the negative, bad things I see other people doing, and still trying to be a good person, it's got me into a lot of shit. On top of that, I'm a country boy. I love the country. I love people. I don't want to be isolated. It's one of the things I love about where I live. There's a lot of people here, amazingly. Way more than I ever thought there was. But yet, I still get to live in peace and harmony. I can roll around in my yard naked. I have freedom. Freedom in so many ways. I don't see concrete, and I don't see a house, and I don't hear a bunch of noise, and I don't hear a bunch of racket and sirens. It's peaceful and quiet. I love it. I want that stuff. All I gotta do is just drive a few minutes away and I can go around people. I want to hear sirens. I could drive 45 minutes in either direction and I got that. So as a kid, I had a very hard time relating to people. And again, you know, when neighborhood sits down and have a snack and everybody's eating, and you feel the pain of not only not being able to eat, but the consequences of it. And the fact that you're sitting there and your stomach's rumbling and you're hungry. My childhood was tough. And it made me tough. But it also made me throw out so much of it, even standing here today. I'm so tired of fighting. When do I get to just live at peace and live a normal, I mean, I know the word normal does not exist anymore, but when do I get to live by me? And by me, I don't mean live, I mean, I've been by myself for 2.5+ years now. It's not about me, because this isn't the life I want. I want my kids. I have the right and every right to be a father and a parent, but I'm not allowed to be. I'm a paycheck. Again, nothing but battles through life, nothing but ideology that has been absolutely just devastating to not only my life, so many other people's lives, children's lives, victims' lives, and our country as we see today. So, as a kid, I really struggled because of what my family life was. It caused struggles throughout my whole life because of what my family life was, and even still is today. The last time my last wife saw my dad, she was crying and said, "I'll never see that SOB again. That man is evil." And I was even there offering to help him. Not the last time and the last words I'll ever hear from my dad. I've watched this take place in so many people's lives that have parents that are destructive, and then the children become out being destructive. I don't want my kids to be raised like that and come out the same way I've seen throughout the whole entire history of our families. I know the pain, and it hurts me too damn much. So as a kid, I really struggled with a lot. I am always been up until my assault, and it's one of the things that really knocked me down with my assault. My my physical abilities are off the charts, and so is my knowledge and my brain. I've been tested, even had tests run on me back when I was in elementary school and had people in suits. I don't know who they were, but I got to spend a week in another room with people that were very well dressed and very well mannered and very professional while they ran tests on me. I got bad grades, but I showed intelligence, and they couldn't understand why. Well, this is why. Because I wanted what every kid wants. They want their parents to be proud of them. One of the problems I have with school is and I fought trying to find some sort of acceptance in my peers. And in school, if you're smart, you get picked on, you get treated stupid, and people are scared to show intelligence. And so many people would thrive so much more if it wasn't for that aspect of things. But they're scared. So I had this mentality that if I showed that I was smart, I'm going to get picked on even more. I don't want that. But then even more than that, I wanted my parents' acceptance. And even when I said, you know what, I'm going to step up and show. I'm going to prove them I can do it. I made the honor roll. Wasn't even good enough for my parents to show up for the celebration that they had at school for that. It still wasn't good enough. I still was not good enough for my parents. So you know what? I went from making the honor roll to the very next semester to having the second lowest GPA in the entire school. Not because I didn't care, or not because I wasn't smart, not because I didn't have the abilities, because I didn't care. And it was also part of me acting out, trying to get help. Look, I need help. Even today, I've spat here for 2.5 years, crying, more than that, crying for help, and nobody wants to help. Even the people whose job and big titles and paychecks, whose job it is to help, still does not want to help. So I was scared to show intelligence, and then when I did, it didn't matter anyway, so why keep proving anything? And I had such great athletic skills and athletic abilities, like I was the Michael Jordan of sports, of anything I played. Because I had the physical ability, and I had the mind that could figure out how to make everything work. And I did it. I excelled at it. That's why at 16 years old, I was managing restaurants, and they were booting out people in their 40s because I was showing more intelligence and ability than they did. I still had no self-esteem, no confidence. I was one of the best, highest ranked baseball players in the city in my day. Still wasn't good enough. My parents couldn't wait for it to stop because they didn't want to be involved in it anymore. That's something they have to get off their ass and be a part of my life for. And when I talk about my brother and his problems, part of the problem he had was he got to watch my sister and I do stuff, activities like that, and he wasn't allowed to. My parents not only did not give him a chance to do it, they sat there and put him down before he even had a chance to do it. You're not going to do anything because you will just drop out and you'll never succeed and you'll never stick with it. And all they did was put him down. And I'm going to talk a lot more about that when I get onto my video about my brother. That's part of what burned him and turned him sour. And there's a lot more to it than that, which I'll be getting to. Can't only talk about so much in one video. But they wonder why he turned out like he did. when they treated him the day he was born like a dog, treated him like absolute shit, talked down to him, belittled him, beat him, never showed him an ounce of love ever in his life, and then wondered why he was evil. And God damn it, people. This is, I'm sorry to use that word, it's a word I hate. I've seen too much of it and I want it to all stop, and I'm living it still. And that's, I mean, at almost 50 years old, I'm still living it. How do you get it to stop? Do you take your own life? I mean, that's really, I've been fighting, working with so many people whose professional job it is strictly to do this. Even court systems, attorneys, everything through the whole entire line, through the state, and nobody gives a damn. Why do they have these big paychecks and jobs and titles? Again, an ideology thing is all it is. Look, we have them. No, they're raping our system and screwing our people, and we're watching them all suffer. They need to go. See how easy it is for me to sidetrack and all this? So, I've got all these kids suffering, and I watched it throughout my childhood. And throughout my childhood, I watched everybody watch it. When my parents would beat me, they didn't just hit my butt. I was beaten basically from my shoulder blades to the back of my kneecaps out of anger, not being able to control themselves. Because I ate a Cheeto? Wow. What a horrible kid. And now I suffer medical conditions, peeing and pooping blood, not being able to control it, which I have for a very, very long time, let alone all the pain and everything else and all the other stuff that comes along with it. It was all caused by their hands, but they won't want to sit back and accept any of it because that's what people do. They don't want to accept my brother turning out the way that he did because of the way that they treated him, the way that they raised him. It's all his fault. Selfish world we live in. Well, I guess for now I'll end this video here. It's been going on for a while. I really try to keep these videos 10 to 15 minutes, and I'm sure I'm over that. I can't see what's on the screen. So there's a little bit about me and my childhood and how it all affected me, and a little bit more about affecting the ones around me. From here I'm going to start talking about each one individually. The pain through it all. Oh my God. Like I said, I'm just getting started. So much to talk about. So please stay tuned. Please share and like and subscribe and try to help me get my stories heard, my voice heard. I've got a lot more to talk about than just my life. A lot of knowledge to share, and hopefully I'm proving myself that I have that knowledge, that I've really been able to take my life and learn from it, and hopefully share the knowledge and pass it on and make better for everyone.